Am I the asshole for not letting my in-laws move in with us while they look for a new house? My wife, 38F, and I, 39M, have been married for 15 years and have 3 kids, 12, 9, and 7. My wife's younger sister, Ann, 36F, currently lives in Florida with her girlfriend and 2 kids, 15 and 10. The 15-year-old is gay. Ann's girlfriend obviously isn't the father to her kids. Ann came out as bisexual about 5 years ago and divorced the kids' father. I don't know a lot of details about her divorce, but I do know that she was granted primary custody of her kids after a long and tumultuous custody battle. Last weekend, my wife came to me and said she needed to talk. Apparently, Ann's landlord has either refused to renew the lease for the house they rent, or they increased the rent to price Ann out of it. My wife wasn't sure. As a result, they have to be out of their house June 1st. Due to recent political events in Florida, Ann wants to move her family out of state. My family lives in a Midwest state that has a much more LGBTQ+ friendly political atmosphere. Ann told my wife that she and her girlfriend agree that moving their family to our state would be a good move for them. But given the short timeline for their housing situation, they are up against the clock. So, Ann asked my wife if they could stay with us while they find a place for them to live. I told my wife I have a lot of reservations about that idea. We only have 1 extra bedroom, so sleeping arrangements would be difficult and would probably involve moving kids into rooms together. Also, I currently WFH and my office space is located in that extra bedroom, so my work situation would be directly impacted. I don't have a physical office to go to for work. Also, the housing market in our area is pretty tough right now. Houses are going for above market price and selling fast. The rental market isn't any better. All of that leads me to believe that if Ann and her family come stay with us, it won't be short term. And the people most directly impacted by this will be me and our kids, not my wife. I explained all of this to my wife and told her I don't think it's a good idea. I told her I feel bad for the situation Ann and her family is in, but she's asking a lot of our family and I don't feel like we are in the proper position to take them in. My wife did not like my response one bit. She accused me of not caring about her sister and that we took my brother and his family in short term before. Which is true, but a vastly different situation. My brother was having some renovations done on his home and we were given a concrete timeframe for their stay. The work permit on their renovation had an end date that work needed to be completed by, so we knew exactly how long they would be staying. They ended up staying a week less than they expected. And at that time our 2 youngest were still sharing a room anyway, so we had 2 extra bedrooms and I wasn't working from home. She sees this as me playing favorites with my family versus hers and thinks I am being an Not the asshole. You're clear in your reasoning. It wouldn't be a practical move for the people who already live there. Not the asshole. Once they're in and don't find accommodations in a timely manner, you will be stuck with them indefinitely. This would be detrimental to your marriage. And your work. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This is a totally different situation than your brother. You had the room, now you simply do not. If you let them move in, this could very well be a very long stay. Info. How long did your brother stay? Am I the asshole for looking at an apartment in the same complex as my friend? I've been hunting for apartments since February. In the area I live in, average rent is expensive, $1,500–$1,800 average a month. I've looked extensively. I own a business and need to be close. This is too high a price for me alone and I've struggled to find something that works in my budget, and has the things I want. I'd like a wash, dry in my unit, bigger kitchen, complex that's not too busy, spaced out buildings, within 15 minutes of work, and I want to live alone and have privacy. I know these things would make me comfortable and generally happier. One of my friends of 3 years lives in an apartment that is close to what I am looking for. Always liked her place, and kept an eye on it for openings. Places in there don't pop up often. One did. Fully renovated, $1,200 per month, all the stuff I want, close to work. Just place a holding deposit. Texted my friend and said I'm going tomorrow morning to hold one. She had suggested to me 3 months ago that I look into her complex, and she'd put in a good word for me. But about 5 hours later she texts, "Hey. I've been thinking a lot about you saying you want to move into this apartment complex and IDK if this is like weird or rude, and I don't want it to come across in a bad way at all, but I have to tell you it makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm realizing that I need my privacy and have been working on setting boundaries without feeling bad about it. I don't know how else to really explain it, but I've established myself here and found something that feels like my space, so to have any friends or family move in so close makes me uncomfortable. I hope you're reading this in the true way I'm meaning to say it and can understand my perspective. I don't want you to be offended or feel like I'm being out of place at all, because that's not my intention. I keep to myself. I have no intention of asking her what she's up to or checking in. We've had minimal conflict in our relationship, if any, and we really only see each other a couple times a month. I called her, trying to understand and tell her I'm really wanting to do this because it's good for me. It's everything I'm looking for. I made it clear I'd never invade her space. She said she wouldn't care, she wouldn't want to be near any friends. She told me it wasn't a personal thing. We hung up cordial. No decision made. She called me again 10 minutes later and she goes, "I just want to make very clear and straight that I do not want you to live in my apartment complex," and repeated it 3 times while I was speechless and then hung up. I hate the idea of making a friend uncomfortable. I appreciated her being honest with her feelings and anxiety. But I just don't get it. I would support any one of my friends with anything that's good for them. It's a large complex with large buildings and we'd truly never see each other, wouldn't even see each other's car parked. To be honest, I still want the apartment. I'm going to place the hold tomorrow. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Also, your friend is being weird and kind of entitled. It's not like you are living in her backyard, it's just the same apartment complex. And with the rent situation being as it is, she is being unreasonable. Not the asshole, she doesn't own the complex. It's a ridiculous request. Not the asshole. Her viewing you living there as a negative thing is completely irrelevant. If it's what you want, go for it. Not the asshole, she doesn't get to monitor who rents in her apartment building. This is a situation that boils down to which is most important: getting a place to live that suits all of your needs or making her happy. If she calls you about it again, tell her you're sorry she feels that way, and you have no intention of invading her space or privacy. If she ends the friendship, that's on her, at least you still have a place live. Not the asshole. You have the right to choose a living situation that works best for you, especially since it fits all your requirements and is within your budget. While it's understandable that your friend values her privacy, it's a large complex, and you've made it clear that you have no intention to invade her personal space. It's important to prioritize your own needs and well-being in this situation. Am I the asshole for moving out of my parents' house after they didn't give me the freedom I wanted? For context, I, 20 male, have been living at my parents' house all my life, and my parents are strict as fuck, especially with things that I do that they are not involved in. When I turned 18, I thought things would change and I would have the liberty to do some things that I was not allowed to do before, like staying over at my GF's house or staying out late. But no, they started using the "my house, my rules," so I kinda gave up. Turned 19 and still nothing. My girl and I already started having a serious relationship and wanted my parents to see that. Got a stable job and income and paid my bills monthly and on time. But it seemed that no matter how many rights I do, any wrong I did, no matter how tiny, like missing my CC payment or arriving home 30 minutes after I told my parents I would arrive, would make them think of me as still a kid. This year I turned 20 and also turned 2 years with my GF. Since my B-Day I've been talking to my parents about giving me more liberties and freedom, but their answer would still be the same: my house, my rules. I started feeling depressed around 6 months ago and did not say anything to them with fear of them belittling me or not understanding how I felt, until one day I decided to tell them how I really felt, and of course, they did exactly what I was afraid of, telling me I had no right to feel this way and they've always given me everything and treated me perfectly. I asked them to get me a therapist and they agreed. Months passed and I was seeing my therapist every week, and she told me that my feelings were perfectly valid and a good cause for these feelings is the way that my parents treat me, treating me still like a kid. Skipping to 2 nights ago, I bought some computer parts that I really wanted because I'll get a promotion at work soon and have some nice savings. They went into my bank accounts, Amazon and Newegg account, and saw everything I purchased, then decided to ground me with the car and even tried to cancel the Newegg order. But it was already shipped, so they couldn't. After years of dealing with this, I took it into my own hands to leave the house. I worked that day, so I was planning how I would go about it. First I asked my GF's mom if I could stay at their house. She agreed. Then I argued with my parents on the phone, explaining how the way they have been treating me is only pushing me farther away and nothing. Finished work. Went to my house and my mom would not say a word to me. Went upstairs, made some bags and left the house. It's been 2 days now since I left and my parents haven't contacted me. But they have called my girlfriend and her mom and told them that what they did was wrong. They should not have opened their doors to me and should have left me in the street so I would go back to them. Am I the asshole for leaving like that? Am I the asshole for wanting some liberty in my life? P.S. I have always hated the my house my rules forever stance. The last part disgusted me. You shouldn't have taken him in, so it would have forced him to become homeless, so he's have no choice but to come back to us. That's awful and abusive as fuck. I'm so glad you got out. Enjoy your new freedom. Not the asshole. I wish you safety and prosperity. Not the asshole. If they have access to your banking information, get a new account immediately, and any other accounts they have access to. If you did not bring all of your important documents with you when you left, birth certificate, SS card, etc., you need to go back and get them ASAP. You need to have a conversation with them about your boundaries and what a healthy, respectful relationship between you looks like now that you are an adult. If they aren't willing to concede to these things, then you will need to seriously consider the amount of contact you have with them in the future for your own mental health. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for cooking badly for my boyfriend and I? I never thought I was that bad of a cook. I like my own cooking well enough, but honestly I'm busy, so I tend to make pretty basic things. I also had COVID a few months ago and my smell and taste has been a little off since then, but it's coming back. My boyfriend is a really good cook, but he doesn't cook too often, just once or twice a month, because he makes it a whole full-day production making complicated recipes that take a lot of prep. I feel like he's more of a picky eater than me. Anyway, a few months ago we moved in together and decided to mostly cook at home. He does a big elaborate meal a few times a month, but day to day I cook. He's been getting at me for cooking really bad food. And honestly I don't think it's bad. But we had this big argument last Friday. I made breakfast before work and was doing eggs and sausage, but I accidentally broke the egg yolks trying to do over easy eggs. I thought it'd be a waste of food to throw them out, so I scrambled the eggs around and mixed in the sausage, and served it over toast. I also put some sriracha sauce on it all. He said they were awful scrambled eggs, and that the toast I used, brioche bread, didn't go at all with savory food. And that the whole combo didn't work together at all. I told him I thought it tasted good, and he said my taste was obviously still out of whack and I needed to think. I felt kinda frustrated because that was the kinda meal I'd cook even before I had COVID, and I wouldn't have thought it was bad. Then for lunch I made grilled cheese and packed some tomato soup for both of us, and he got frustrated because he thought that was a shit meal to bring to the office because the cheese would be cold. I said I put mine in the microwave and he got upset with me saying, "Really? A microwaved grilled cheese? Which IDK? I literally do grilled cheese for lunch all the time." For dinner, I made hamburger because I know he likes it, and he got upset again with me for doing it badly. He felt like the burgers were overcooked and also that I put them together too early before he got home from work, so the bun was soggy. I ate the same burger and it literally tasted fine to me and they weren't burnt at all. I told him he should cook his own meals if he hates mine that much, and that my food was fine, and he asked me if I had really been eating like that my whole life. I got pretty offended and said we weren't all raised with a stay-at-home mom who could cook all day, and most normal people don't eat how he's used to. He said I didn't need to make it about pity party for me being poor, and that all he was asking me was to try a little harder and put any thought at all into my cooking. Because there's a whole world between all day cooking and some of the thoughtless stuff I was doing, like I wasn't even trying. Am I the asshole for cooking apparently badly? If he wants different foods, he should make them. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend is a tool. I'd probably move back out and tell him to cook his own damn food. Not the asshole. Are you sure he's the one for you? Not the asshole. If he can't appreciate the food you make, maybe he should step up. Not the asshole. While it is true you don't seem to make elaborated meals, those are not needed at every meal, and if it's not good enough for him he can cook for himself. He could have offered to teach you gently. Stop cooking for him altogether.